speaking of the scientists are in the wrong business. Well, let me tell you why. Now, a lot of the conspiracy theorists will say that, well, it's collusion. All the scientists are colluding with the elite New World Order. Okay, you pretty much lose me when you start to talk like that, because I start thinking you're a moron. Honestly. But when it comes to climate scientists, they're not making all this money. They're really not. There's no incentive for them to lie. Whereas if you're working on Fox News, there is a ton of incentive for you to lie. For example, now how much do climate scientists make? On average, they make about $60,000 to $70,000 a year. Now that's pretty good. That's a good pay rate. Hey, it takes a lot of training to be a climate scientist, and it pays pretty well. Don't get me wrong. And that's, of course, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. And that's just their median pay. Of course, you have to kind of compare that to, I don't know, the CEO of ExxonMobil, the most profitable energy company on Earth that Earth has ever seen. There has never been a more profitable company. The CEO of ExxonMobil made $40 million in 2012. $40 million. And ExxonMobil loves to throw around their money to pay people to shut up. To pay people to say, yes, oil is fantastic. Oil is great. Oil is awesome. You know you want to drill, baby, drill. I mean, they spend a lot of money just influencing our politicians, if not outright buying them off. And actually, I think they do that a lot more than just influencing them. Now, and not to mention, you have the Koch brothers that are worth $36 billion each. It would be so easy to get rich off climate denial. It really is. Go suck up to the Koch brothers if you're a media figure, or if you're a scientist. Fox News would have a field day having on a climate denying scientist. What I'm trying to say is that scientists aren't going to make that kind of money. And it's really kind of hard to go against such powerful interests. And you really don't want to go against those interests unless you believe what you're doing. Unless you believe in what you're doing. Unless you know what you're doing. And so these scientists, I don't believe that there's some global scientist conspiracy. For what? For what are you going to gain? You're going to make enemies of the Koch brothers and incredibly powerful people, especially in the media. Why would you go against that? Because the climate science is right. And look, the climate science is evolving. And there are lots of, refinements and stuff always going into the climate models. And to some extent, you do have to be skeptical because that's how science gets put forward. You ask questions. And you have to ask questions. And I think that's an important part of the scientific community. So I just want to throw that in there. It's okay to be skeptical a little bit. But when it comes to hard, peer-reviewed science, that 97% of scientists agree, and they've all checked each other's work, I think it's pretty safe to say that it's a real thing. They still say that the theory of gravity is just a theory. They're trying to do the same thing with climate change. It's just a theory. Okay, well, somebody who doesn't believe in climate change and says it's just a theory, well, why don't you go out and test gravity? Jump off a building. Jump off a bridge. Jump off your house. Yeah, you're not going to do that, are you? But that's what we're doing here as a nation and as a world and as a species, is that we're literally jumping off the bridge. The thing that really upsets me is that there are actually less and less Americans that trust scientists at all. And it's only in America. There was a Huffington Post YouGov poll that said that only 36% of Americans reported having a lot of trust in information they get from scientists, and that the information that they get is accurate and reliable. 36% of Americans have enough trust in science and scientists and what they say. 51% say they trust that information only a little. Yeah, we kind of trust scientists. Just a little. 6% don't trust scientists at all. Those are, of course, hardcore Republicans. It's really sad. It's really sad. Now, there's a reason behind this, of course, is that 78% of Americans think that the information reported by scientific studies is often influenced by political ideology. Now, 18% of people say that only happens rarely. Most of the time, they're not political. Scientists are just dealing with science, the hard facts. But, man, over 3/4 of the country say that scientific studies are often influenced by political ideology. I find that amazing. But you know who made it political, who politicized it, is those influential donors that buy the politicians so that they can make $1. They can make an extra buck so they don't have to pollute. Look, that's the whole thing here, is that these wealthy interests are using people in order to be able to pollute more, to save money. So they can pollute in your backyard so they can save an extra buck on doing business. That's really what it comes down to. It's all about greed. It's not about, is the science right? Is it perfect? Of course the science isn't perfect. But that's not a good argument. It bothers me that so many people are ignorant. And it's not always their fault. You have a lot of media outlets that are basically spreading false information. They're lying to everybody. Everybody who watches Fox News is getting lied to. Because Fox News works on behalf of wealthy business owners, of your Koch brothers, of your Exxon Mobils. They work on behalf of those people. So of course you're going to hear only that side of the story.